Well, we're 10 episodes in on how not to F up your business. We've drifted a little here, we've drifted a little there. The reality is, this is a gut check. We need to come back to basics, make sure we're staying on target, make sure we don't drift too far, but also check in on where we are 8 years after the company almost augured into the ground and exploded. So sit back, stay tuned, hang on, because we are going for one massive ride.
Whew. Yeah, so today's episode's a little bit different. Um, and Brian, you said it's been 8 years, and it has been 8 years, and I think it's important to look at what's happened over these last 8 years, not going into all the details, but and see where we actually are today. Where have we gotten to? Where do we still have to go? What are some things that we've learned along the way? And heck, what are some things that we just learned? Well, not really learned, but what are some things that have really hit uh, recently that kind of lit a fire to finally do some things that have been needed for quite a while. So I think I'm looking forward to this one. It's you know, I think this one's going to be pretty helpful to folks.
So let's start here. 8 years later, every day seems to be a struggle. So what really is the health of our company right now?
Yeah. The reality is that we've made it through the last 8 years, but honestly, we could be doing a lot better. And I think that goes right along with the last comment I made, things that happen that suddenly light a fire to finally put in place some of the things that you've not been doing that need to be in place. And I'm excited for that, but it's interesting how you can still fall into some of the traps along the way that have always been there, or maybe a little bit of complacency that sets in when all of a sudden things start going really well. Because the reality is, over the last 8 years, we've had some nice years, but you can get into some complacency, or you don't make the changes to the extent that need to be made in order to completely change the outcomes for your company and for yourselves personally. Um, so I can tell you that in terms of how we are as a partnership, I think that I have felt a much stronger bond, and the nature of our conversations are very different. I've personally undergone a lot of changes since then, not just in terms of anything, things like leadership, but also things like how I view money. I was always the one who, hey, we need that for this project, let's just buy it. And now things sit in a cart on a store's website for days, and usually doesn't get purchased. Maybe I rent it, or maybe we decide, you know what, we actually don't need that for the project. We'll have more discussions about what might actually be needed for a project, and is it really needed, or is it more for a specific reason, or you know what other ways can we accomplish something. So there are a lot of changes that I think have happened to me personally. I think ultimately the business is in a place right now where I know we're making a lot of changes to the business, and it's important. But man, it's hard. Regardless of what you went through in the past, it is still hard. And this year in particular, no, there were certain things that weren't on my bingo card that ended up impacting us, and I think that those little surprises ended up. I think it was you talk about a gut check. Some of these were a gut punch, and kind of forced the issue of like, okay, we got to do this. We got to finally put this in place, and I can go into some of those things, but um, I think that's what I'm seeing so far for
Sure.
where we are 8 years later.
Okay. Well, I will add one thing to this,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of personal drag that gets in with this as an individual. I think for each one of us, but the one thing, to me, it's the one thing that tragedy and crawling out has got us, and we don't celebrate it, and we should celebrate it. We do not have massive debt hanging over us like a blade every single day. And if I get emotional during it, it's because I know what that felt like, and I know what that feels like, and I know what that is. We do not, I'm going to repeat that, we do not have overwhelming and crippling debt hanging over our head as of this discussion. Doesn't make things easier on the day to day, or does it? It's an emotional push-pull, right? You want to live better. You want to have more in the bank. You want to be able to have rainy day funds. You want to be able to have all that. But the first step to getting there is to making sure that that debt isn't hanging over you, waiting to crush you like an Acme weight in a Looney Tunes cartoon. Really. So there's a big sigh of relief, right? On the other hand, there's everything else. And yes, there's the bingo card is already filling up with wild spots of dumpster fires here and there. Who knew? Who knew everything in this world was going to be so topsy-turvy right now? And that has an impact on business, and it has an impact on your longevity, and it has an impact on your clients, and it has an impact, which, I wouldn't want to be just starting out right now. I also wouldn't want to be carrying the kind of debt we were carrying. So already, instead of waking up in the fetal position every morning, it's waking up and breathing and getting out of bed, which is a much different experience. So,
Man, I am so I'm gonna actually
yeah, we could, let's just dive right into this. Trauma. Seriously. The gut check here is, we are not a business that had any right to succeed based on our previous business acumen. Our product was phenomenal, and everything we put into it was absolutely from the heart. But the business end, oh my gosh. To be able to breathe right now is a phenomenal gift. It doesn't mean it's easy, and it doesn't mean it's comfortable, but you can't have comfort when something is pulling at your legs trying to drown you. We don't have that burden.
oh, no.
We just
It
have to live
was
day to day.
yeah. The terror. Talk about trauma.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
I'm
think you
shaking. I'm literally
realize
shaking.
I don't think you realize the amount until you're out of it. I am so grateful that you said that, because the one thing that, regardless of what has happened, what's transpired over these last few months, again, the bingo card, there is a difference in how we approach it. And there is a bit of a calmness because there isn't this thing over our head. And I remember that terror. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the proper word. And that
There's
it's not that it's missing, because it's still, running a business is hard. It's difficult, it's scary. What's at stake is very real. And but you're right. And that is no longer like over your head. And I think I maybe I might have buried that a little bit
yeah.
until you just said that.
It's the difference between crippling anxiety and depression. No, I could live with the day-to-day depression. The crippling anxiety, though, is gone.
Yeah.
And I know it's like we're joking about it, but no, you're going to have days where it's depressing as all hell, and it's depressing because the family needs A, the business needs B. There's nothing there for a rainy day, and yet we're paying ourselves on time, and we're constantly moving forward. So instead of crippling anxiety over what is, it is now just like, okay, we'll get out of this too, or we'll get to the next step, or. And that's the reality. I don't want to paint that, in how not to F up your business in this great reframe. It's not all at once. It's not, inside of a gulag with no windows to suddenly, skipping through a field of tulips in the middle of, the season. It's more like, oh, there's sunlight. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a field down there. Oh, and you keep moving. And that
And you
ability
keep
to
moving.
move is,
Yeah.
to me, the difference. And part of it was allowing ourselves to be able to reframe the business while forced to, almost at gunpoint, in order to consolidate and then pay off the debt. So
Yeah.
it's not easy. And for anybody out there who's sitting there thinking, these guys are making it, seems it's not. It sucks. It
No. Yeah.
sucks. But what it does is it sucks in a manageable way, as opposed to just looking around and being like, well, I have no control over this. Flick your cigarette into the dumpster that's already burning. This is more like, nope, I got a hose. Let's go put out this little bucket fire before it becomes a dumpster fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't help what the world is doing around you, but what you can help is your journey through it. I think if we were hit today with, I'll be blunt. Some of the businesses we deal with are impacted by import export, and that's going to be impacted by things that are happening on the geopolitical environment. Um, Global economies impact our business because our clients pull back. If this were to hit today and still carrying debt and still having the problems we had, I would be back in the fetal position because I'm
Yeah. No,
still a parent and I
yeah.
still have to keep
And
things on the table.
yeah, and honestly, if that was the case, we would not be here. Like it would. So, and I think that is what that's where the bit of comfort comes from, is this idea of over the last 8 years, we've built up certain places of knowledge and growth, where it's a lot of the personal development that we've done, business acumen. Woof, that's the big one. And so the way that we run the business now on the financial side is very different than it ever was from day one. What it is now is very different. And that is, to me, is one of the big things, is once you start to get that business acumen down and you keep trying to get better at that part of it, that's where some really great things can happen. But beyond that too is also some of the things that you have to do for yourself, which once that bingo card started to get full, you realize, all right, we got to do this. We have to finally start doing this. We were always uh, reactive, because it was all word of mouth, it was all referrals, it was that kind of thing. People finding us through search, through the website and all that, and even to this day, that's been what it has been for us. But the big thing for us is, well, we have to get this off the ground, and this is the one, the one thing that we have to get off the ground is this idea of we have to get out there and be proactive and prospecting and all of that. Proactive sales prospecting. And really being out there and just putting your message and your story out there and really going at it. So what have we done in order to get into that next level? So the last 8 years, if you will, have been really a rebuild, have been let's get through these next 8 years. Let's the debt, get that down, get that out. Don't have that over your head anymore. Really focusing in on who it is that we are as a company and what we provide as value for our customers, and not being distracted by all of the other things. Really staying true to that. And that's, taking a little bit of time, and now I think we've really kind of dialed it in and defined it. Now this next piece is really about telling that story and being really out there. So the big thing for us, one thing we've never had, is a CRM, customer retention management system. Things like there are a bunch of different brand names out there. We went with High Level, and we're building that system out. It's about actually being proactive about how we communicate with people. Starting to get emails out to folks on a regular basis, and using automation to help us, so that it's not us, every single time typing something out and then selecting a few people. This is let the system do the work for us. That whole part of it is something that I think a lot of us don't ever really focus on. most of the time we throw up a website and that's kind of it. And then we're so busy doing work. And then, other projects come in and you're staying busy. And then all of a sudden we end up with this dry spell. The whole feast or famine, right? That's what we've always called it. And there was a time when I think all of us in the industry just kind of accepted that that's what this is supposed to be. It's feast or famine. There are going to be times when you're super busy and there's going to be times when there's nothing going on. We're turning the feast and famine kind of on its head. So number one, if there is a slow period, we're actually being really proactive about how we use that time. But then at the flip side, we're starting to get a system in place to really market ourselves, which is something we just never did. I'm really excited for that part of it. It's a lot of work. I mean, we're putting in a lot of work into what we're doing right now, but it's well worth it, and I'm just excited for what's coming. But Bryan, it's been, I'm glad we're doing this episode, this idea, this gut check of where we are.
Yeah.
That idea, the word debt to me, man, when you said that word, it hit me. It hit me like a ton of bricks, and grateful that we're not in that place that we were at one point. So really excited for what's next, but
I
yeah,
think
it's hard.
when people look at us, there are people who know us who are going to look at this and be like, "That's really cool. I didn't know this much about your story." And it's not because we weren't open with it. The first thing that happened to us when things hit the fan was we became exceptionally open. Exceptionally open. We weren't embarrassed. We were like, "This is where we are. This is what's happening to us." And we got a lot of love and support that way. However, and I'm sort of going to, this is part of this gut check. Everything we're doing now, including the CRM, including the podcast, including other content that we're out there with, doesn't come from a place of let's jump on a bandwagon. It comes from a very, very different place, and that's part of the gut check as well. We have always been legit and shared. We have always been very open, from the way we interview with people to the work we do. This is another example of how. We've not worried about competition because there is room for everybody in their niche out there. Why not share? If people had shared with us, I think we wouldn't have been so terrified going through it. We would have been like, this sucks. There are people out there. There are people who are willing to hear, what do we need? And I'm going to be blunt. The reason we've stayed away from certain things is we don't love how others necessarily do it. And that's okay. That's the way they do it. We can do it our way. Even the CRM leaves a little bit of a distaste in our mouths because the touch points with clients were always very real. They were always very non-manufactured. However, the reality is there's just so much time in the day. A reminder of here we are will remind people of how we've always served them and how we've always done the work to get that respect. We're not blanketing the world with random showing up at your door texts and emails and this and that. That's not what we're about. And in a way, this gut check is keeping us honest. In a way, this where we're at is because of where we've been, what we've been through. And I'm putting that out there because there is a bit of distaste to a lot of this. And I think that's what kept us away. And when you reframe it and flip that script to, well, wait a minute, what are we doing that's actually getting results? We're being open and honest with our story the way we demand others be open and honest with theirs that we're working for. And we always have been. This is just new ways to get the word out there. The minute you reframe it to a new way, everything changes. And I mean, I'm literally sitting here still shaking because I'm thinking of 8 years ago and the journey to get here. I'm literally full of anxiety, but there's excitement mixed in, which I would say before all of this was different. So I'm anxious, but I'm also really happy. And that's a really hard place to discuss. I'm not one who generally goes around displaying their emotions, or maybe I display my emotions. I don't really talk about them, but the reality is the openness has always been here. The openness and the understanding and the commitment, whether we're working with somebody who's lost their child to cancer, or whether we're with family celebrating the outcome of a surgery, or whether we're talking to leaders in a particular field. There's always been an honesty and legitimacy about the conversations we have. We're taking that now here. And frankly, this is like another experiment. This isn't the end all be all. It's why we ask for feedback.
Yeah.
But in doing that, we do go astray on some of the early. I mean, this is episode 10. We've already gone astray because we're like, we're going to do this. And well, it's an evolution, right? It's a reframing of what we've done. And there's some bad habits that we'll wean out. And there's some good habits that we'll push in. And we're trying to be better. We don't have all the answers, but what we can tell you is you are not alone. We've been through it. Here are things that we've done. Here are things that we will tell you you need to celebrate now because you're doing it right. And really just be creating company, just creating arms to hold one another in some of the shittiest, excuse the non-French, as well as the greatest experiences. You need to surround yourself not just with people in your industry, people of all walks who actually are vested in the outcome of what you do and why you do it.
Ah, man. There is so much here. So, gonna get emotional again.
It's the trauma, man. I'm telling you, it's still there.
Well,
Got to reframe
trauma,
that.
trauma, but there's also pride. And I don't mean the kind of pride that holds you back. I mean, like there are some really proud moments.
Humbling pride.
The last 8 years have been hard, and it's still hard today. But within that hardness, there have been so many victories. That is the biggest one. That's huge. To be out from under that it's a sunny day after a long, hard winter. It's just, and it's 70 degrees out and beautiful, and that is what that feels like. But also in the commitment to sort of personal growth as well. And that last comment you made about surrounding yourself with people, not just in your industry, but from all walks of life. And I think about some of the communities that I've gotten involved in, that you've gotten involved in, where it's people from all these different walks of life, but we're all focused on that same thing. And when you're open to that, when you're open to those experiences of others to help impact your story and how you're building towards something, I get emotional at that part of it because there's just so much good in that. And I know a lot of the stuff that we're able to do these days, or that the way we're even thinking about things, comes from that experience and learning from other people. That's been absolutely amazing. The other thing, and I think, when we talk about like a CRM, that's a tactical thing, right? But really what it comes down to is outreach. And we've talked along a lot of these episodes about being open and talking to people and telling them where you're at. It's all outreach. So even though I mentioned the word automation and having some things that are going out on our behalf, there are also things that we've started doing that are not automation. Like, Bryan and I will be talking, like that company that is in export and they're impacted. And we sat and the two of us had meetings about what can we do to help them in this moment that is not a traditional project, and sent an email with laying out the entire thing. And it was something that either they could do it in-house, or they could do it with us and we would help out on certain key areas, and just to take the load off of them because they're our partner. So that's not anything that an automation system can do for you. Those are things that you have to dig inside and say, like, how can I help the people that are counting on us, who are our partners, who we love? How can we continue to help them? And that's outreach. That's what that is. So a CRM is just nothing more than a tool to help you outreach, but it's not the be-all, end-all.
No.
So we're putting in these things in place, looking at our systems, looking at all these things. So you get through these big hurdles. And then the next thing is, as you build up, is then you got to put in the things that are really going to move that needle to help you start to grow in other directions. Systems, outreach, all of those things are the things that then become the building blocks for what comes next. we had to be clear about who we are and who we serve and why we're doing what we do. And I think that has just been everything for me. So very emotional at it, but I'll try to hold it in till the end of the episode and we're out. But it's emotional. Um, it's
Yeah.
everything, man.
And it's you get through crisis, and if you're like me, and I think I can speak for Johnny, it's the open conversations. But we both have kids, and we won't go to the personal world of them, but you do protect them. You do protect them from what you're going through. You do protect them from the very realities of what the world can be. And at the same time, they know, they can see, they can experience. Spouses, significant others, friends, they see the trauma written large, written small. So it has to be about getting back to what's needed for you as an individual, for you as a business, and for you as your partners out there in the world. I think we've almost put everything on equal footing in a way. Family is always going to come first. Johnny and I have a great
Always.
partnership based on that idea, and we're each other's family as well. So there's a very, very protective membrane around us, and that goes without saying. And anyone who comes into that family, anyone who works with us or for us, is part of that family. But I think the gut check here is if you can protect your family, your business family, and the partners you have, oddly, everything takes care of itself. You're not as terrified about anything else out there. Look, the people you do business with don't owe you anything. Memories are short, they'll go where they need to go. But if you truly enjoy working with them and them with you, those conversations are honest and open, period. If there's a real mutual respect there. And so we're cultivating that. And I'd say it's been 8 years of cultivating what really matters for us. We're not there yet. We're on a journey. And the reason I say we're not there yet is I don't think you can ever be there.
That's lifelong.
Um, for me, I leave the house, I go for walks. If I really need a little extra something, I do what people call nature bathing. And it's not as foo-foo-y as it sounds. It's getting out there with just your mind, the birds tweeting, plants coming up, worried about ticks everywhere, but your mind has no ability to focus on anything else. Uh, Johnny has regimens that keep his mind off of everything so that when those sparks come, they push up through. We both are like that. We'll both call each other after taking a shower and be like, "What a great idea." That's not gone away. That's still there. And everything else is a shell around this. Like, take care of the things that matter and everything else will fall in line. And hopefully upcoming episodes will continue to expound upon the things that you can do and things you can look out for. And some of them are going to fit you, some of them are not, but they all have validity. Even the things we don't know that you're doing all have validity. What we're going to try to do, I think, Johnny, if you're cool with this, is every now and again, let's come in with a gut check of where we're at, where we are at that moment after giving swaths of what we're going through and things that are working and not working. Because it's going to change. There may be one day where we do the gut check and we're both just destroyed by life itself. And some days where we're going to be elated because, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The goal with this was always what the goal is with our clients. Give useful insight to what we do so that you can benefit. And that goes for you as the audience. That goes for our clients. We are there to be a partner. We're not there to be the end all be all. If it doesn't work in your world, that's okay. If there's something you can pull out of it, that's okay too. But it's not all going to be sunshine. Not every day. And not going to lie to you, the days where sunshine comes, you just got to grab onto. You got to hug it and know that it's there and feel the warmth and love and allow it to do what it does, because the days that are so hard and so impactful can erase that so quickly. Grab the good where it comes. Just grab it. And that's without going into like full traumatic breakdown. I'm just going to stop it there.
Yeah. The work continues. And I'm proud of where we've gotten to. There is so much more work to do. And
Mhm.
everything we do every single day is to just keep fighting and keep building. And I see the light. I know where that is at, and that's what we're building towards, man. And so grateful for this episode. Grateful to go back to that, and I'm glad we're gonna make the gut check uh, a part of this moving forward. So I guess we know what episode 20 is gonna be. It's gonna be another gut check. This is great. This is good. And we're going to keep you posted on the things along the way too, that we're doing, some of the tactical things too. And we didn't really want this to be, a tip channel. But at the same time, there is value to that. And, I think a lot of people sometimes when certain things might scare them because of they may not know where to necessarily begin and or how to even do it. And so if we can be of service there, if we can help in that way, happy to share. And we may do an episode where we're sharing some of the stuff that we're doing on the marketing side and that kind of stuff to start to tell our story out there, including rebuilding our website. So
Good.
let us know what you thought of this. What hit you the most, and what kind of things are you hoping to hear from us? Let us know in the comments below. We answer every comment that comes in. Uh, and Yeah, thanks for tuning in as always, and we really appreciate your time here. There's so many channels and videos to watch. We really appreciate that you took the time to watch ours. So, thanks for being here, and we're going to see you on the next one.
Stay safe, stay healthy.